If you played a stupid, pointless game and a demon began ripping people apart around you, what would you do? It is a truth universally acknowledged that a bored YouTuber seeking out a tortured spirit must be in need of a viral video. In this case, it's an entire down on its luck channel taking a risk on an old internet horror story to save a sponsorship and keep their insatiable audience satisfied. Of course, it's going to get them all killed, but tragically, not in an entertaining way. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the 5th floor woman in Elevator Game. A teenager named Becky enters a hotel elevator and starts recording on her phone, saying that she's going to play the Elevator Game, an online phenomenon that claims that you can enter another dimension by boarding an elevator and visiting a series of floors in a certain order. The second to last step in the sequence summons the 5th floor woman, a spirit who will allegedly open a portal if you follow her rules, or tear you to pieces if you don't. Much like in Talk to Me, I want to see all the trial and error that went into figuring out this game's Konami code, and I want to hear from people who came back from this game. Is there some sort of prize for doing this, or are we just visiting the underworld for funsies? Becky follows the instructions. Halfway through the series of floors, the lights flicker and she begins to squirm. She reaches the 5th floor, where she's supposed to keep her eyes shut until the doors close, and breaks the rules with seconds to spare. When she presses the final button to take her to the 1st floor, the elevator begins to rattle. A figure appears behind her, and the elevator takes her up. There's someone in the elevator with her when it stops on the 10th floor, flooding the car with red light. When the elevator returns to ground level, Becky has disappeared. This isn't a good game for me. I'd want to experiment the hell out of this thing and see what types of worlds different combinations of floors would open. I just know it'd only be a matter of time before I zapped myself into the Hellraiser dimension. Unfortunately for us, Becky is the most complex character we're gonna get in this entire story. We cut to a group of wannabe YouTube stars who feel like they were created by an AI's idea of Gen Zers. Plastic molded into the shape of white bread would have more flavor to it. They were also just the worst. Zero creativity, a weird obsession with lamps, and one sponsor away from their entire channel collapsing. They're all so poorly equipped, they have the guy who showed up today for his first shift filming with their primary camera. I mean, great characterization if you want me to want them to die. Their channel is all about playing scary games in scary places. Bloody Mary in a slaughterhouse bathroom. Candyman in a room full of kids with deadly bee allergies. You get it. Their newest member, Ryan, who clearly has an ulterior motive for being there, pitches the Elevator Game, which can be played in any building with at least 10 floors. Chloe says they'll need a scary location to make it fit the channel, and Ryan knows of one, the building where Becky disappeared. Getting set up takes all of 20 minutes as they comb through half a creepypasta about the game and assemble in the building's lobby. We learn the 5th floor woman lives in her own dimension called the Red World, and in addition to not opening your eyes when you reach the 5th floor, you're also not supposed to turn around or speak to her, or she'll destroy you. Chris is already planning to break that rule before he even gets in the elevator. Dumbass. When the doors roll shut, Chris, Chloe, and Maddie are the first to take the ride, while Izzy, Ryan, and their channel manager, Kevin, watch over the live feed. Just like with Becky, the lights and camera equipment begin to glitch the closer to the 5th floor they go. Despite it being literally their entire job to capture creepy shit on camera, it takes ages for these posers to realize something paranormal might be happening. Chris starts not joking about peeking on the 5th floor again, and Maddie starts shaking in his tidy whities. Maddie threatens Chris to keep him from opening his eyes, and it works. No one peeks as the doors open and close on the 5th floor. They press the lobby button, and the elevator begins to rise. Again, despite this being their entire job and exactly the type of viral the internet was made for, they all practically wet their jammies on the way up, until the elevator suddenly stops on the 9th floor, and douchebag boards, ending the game. When they reach the lobby again, they learn half the game wasn't even recorded. The cameras glitched out completely. Chloe suddenly hears singing coming from the elevator, but neither the lost footage nor the singing inspires any curiosity in these losers. Chris especially seems opposed to re-recording. Look, I know that we're trying to survive here, and not playing the elevator game is the easiest way to do that, but come on. The only thing we know about you animatronic puppets is that your entire livelihoods are wrapped up in this YouTube channel doing well. You've been here all of 20 minutes. This is legitimately infuriating. The new guy called Ryan calls Chris out for wanting to bail, revealing that Becky wasn't just some rando, but his sister who went missing playing the elevator game after Chris told her he'd make her internet famous if she did, then ghosted her. And of course, even though they're mad at Chris, they bail after they realize Ryan's just using them. Yeah, I might have just called them all to their face instead. The bummer is, this is a great sized group to have when attempting this game. You need to have a group stay behind just in case something actually happens. A group that can go load up on gear to rescue you if you disappear. But of course, no one here thinks of that. The fifth floor woman isn't done playing with the group yet. Chloe hears the same humming from the elevator in her apartment building. Chris gets red carded from the game entirely. Okay, where was this in the rules? Exactly. We did not break the rules. You should be ripping the douchebag on the 9th floor a new one for interrupting. Ryan returns to the building to play the game himself. Thank you. At least one idiot with a death wish to root for. I mean, he's still quaking in his booties halfway into it, but at least he's playing. Of course, there's no way any of us are playing this game until we've checked online for additional rules, regulations, and cheat codes. Do any weapons work on the 5th floor woman? Does she have any weaknesses? Any desires? Has she ever lost the game? Has anyone ever even survived playing this? If not, where the fuck did the story even come from? Bare minimum, we're pulling a Benny from The Mummy, stocking up on a ton of religious paraphernalia to wave in this face for reactions. And we are absolutely sending Chloe a voicemail and text message saying we're playing. So when we disappear, someone knows what happened to us. When the elevator opens to total darkness on the 5th floor, a figure moves toward Ryan. Shadows distort, but he manages to keep his eyes shut. He's rewarded when the elevator rises afterward to a new alternate 10th floor. It looks like a red light version of that post-mortem lobby room in Beetlejuice. Ryan steps through the door and arrives at street level in the Red World, a deserted version of Los Angeles marked by a glowing neon X in the sky. Well, it's mostly deserted. Ryan spots a darkened figure standing nearby and calls out, hoping it's Becky.
Hello?
So, not Becky, I take it. She spider crawls after him, chasing him back into the 10th floor of the building, where he cowers behind an IKEA chair. No, don't bother attempting to barricade or anything. Downstairs, Izzy and Kevin arrive to retrieve a camera they left behind in the elevator when Izzy makes the split-second decision for both of them to play the game. She's too busy flirting to remember they're supposed to keep their eyes shut when they reach the 5th floor, and our ghoulie wastes no time punishing them for it. Again, I ask, is there a point to this game? Some sort of reward or anything? The elevator finally arrives to the Red World's 10th floor, and Ryan escapes into it as Lady Salad Fingers comes after him. Ryan finds the camera in the elevator, which is cued right to Izzy's gruesome murder, apparently. He calls Chloe to warn her that the game is real, and her friends are in danger, and she agrees to meet him. She tries calling the others. Of course, 3 of the 5 original group members are already dead. Maddie calls Chloe as he runs, then robs a restaurant of its salt while trying to do my job for me.
No, we just gotta figure out how to close the door. Well, no we gotta close the door, but how?
He thinks that drawing a protective salt circle around himself may keep her away, but it doesn't seem to be working so far. Ryan reconnects with Chloe. He tells her he played the game to find out if his sister was in the red world. She doesn't believe him. Then he shows her the tape of Izzy screaming, but it must not show very much because all it convinces her to do is go to the cops. When Maddie joins them, he says there's no point because you can't call the cops on a ghost. Ryan agrees. I also agree. But Chloe argues there's no ghost. Maybe rewind to that GoPro. It didn't randomly start recording when Izzy was attacked. It recorded their entire game. An extra 20 seconds of footage may change your mind, Chloe. Ryan asks Chloe if her research dug up anything else about the 5th floor woman. A handy flashback reveals that a girl named Allie died during a sorority hazing incident where she was locked in an elevator shaft and left there. People came in to work on Monday morning and accidentally crushed her before the elevator cables tore her apart. Unfortunately, the way they tell the story is so unintentionally hilarious that it's hard to take seriously.
She spent the entire weekend all alone, slowly losing her mind.
An entire weekend alone? Oh, the humanity. How the hell does this turn her into a demon or whatever? People die in vastly more horrific ways all the time. You don't see them manifesting back into reality to perpetually take out their frustrations on innocent people because they had the audacity to push random elevator buttons and open their eyelids. What a self-pitying bitch with massively displaced anger. You're objectively worse than the prostitutes that put you in there. If you really want vengeance, just appear in the elevator, state your case that you're in a limbo because some hoe thought it was funny to lock you into an elevator shaft, and the only way that you can move on is if they mysteriously perish. Add some ghostly reward or whatever to sweeten the deal, and you're far more likely to get what you want in order for you to just pass on than by void thrashing YouTubers. And really, take some responsibility for your own actions. I doubt a pack of mean girls physically tossed you in there. And how easy is it to fall into an elevator shaft? You kinda have to try. It's not like you were lost on your way to the bathroom, took a wrong turn and ended up down there where they could just lock you in. Backing up even further, you should have seen the red flags in these mean girls way before the point of no return. That's on you. Yes, I'm victim blaming because you can't change that there's assholes in the world. You can only contend or navigate around them. All right, I'm done. Let's get to the techniques of how she could escape after making numerous poor decisions and judgments of character. Elevator pits, or the space between the shaft's lowest landing door and the ground at the bottom of the shaft, are actually sort of fascinating to read about. The federal minimum for a commercial elevator pit is 13 inches, or 14 inches if the buffer springs are required. Most modern elevators also contain shock absorbers at the bottom of these shafts. Technically, someone as slim as Allie should be able to lay flat at the bottom and avoid being crushed. The OSHA dumpster fire of an elevator shaft she's in doesn't seem to have that. Although, if we want to be pedantic, it does seem to have a massive steel beam right above her head that would stop any descending elevator car anyway. Without a pit and without handholds along the shaft to climb the 14 feet to the next floor up, we need to exit as fast as possible through the door. This door is outward swinging, which means she can't move the hinges to escape, so she'll need to remove the doorknob. To do that, she'll need to use a paperclip, earring, bobby pin, or even the underwire from her bra to pop the knob off using this technique and access the screws, which she can remove using a coin or necklace pendant or button. Without the doorknob, you should be able to reach your fingers into the mechanism, keeping the door closed, and trigger it to open. But you can also just try kicking or shouldering the door open, as removing the knob significantly weakens the lock's integrity. Back with our terrible trio, Maddie jumps into research mode inside the salt circle, looking for ways to potentially close the door they opened. He begins humming the song that they've all been hearing, and Chloe recognizes it, a nursery rhyme called The Elevator Song, which they think tells them the last piece of the puzzle. The game isn't over until they step out into the red world, re-enter the elevator, and return to the ground floor. Okay, not sure how that helps anything or solves anything or why that makes this a game. Whatever. Since Ryan's already done exactly that, that must mean he's not playing the game anymore, so he can be your safety safety net in the lobby while you two go up and come back down. Of course, there's just one problem with this solution. It might not be a solution at all. If you recall, when Ryan went into the red world, the elevator didn't just return when he summoned it. He had to wait for someone else, Izzy and Kevin, to play and fail the game. So, we might be walking into a trap in which someone will have to sacrifice themselves to help the other two escape. But honestly, if I were the demon of this red world toying with the internet's dumbest ghost hunters, I think I'd have my wicked way with them first, forcing them into a doom loop that would only end with their exhaustion and defeat or sacrifice. It would be so easy. All I'd have to do is lay claim to the first person who entered my red world, forcing another one of these simpletons to ascend to my dominion to save them. Let the first go, capture the second, and let the cycle begin again. Sure, it might end when one of them betrays the others, leaving them to rot in my Crimson Keep. That works for me too. I get to keep my plaything and watch you wither under the guilt of your cowardice. Oh, right, we have to beat her, or whatever. Of course, the 5th floor woman is listening. She begins to hum in the room with them. He steps right into the salt circle and hesitates. Maddie thinks it's enough to keep her at bay, but this demon has perfect movie timing. Ryan and Chloe break for a fire escape and run back to the office building, where they're intercepted by a security guard. Chloe pepper sprays him. I mean, seriously, blinds the guy. And they bolt into the elevator. Ryan, where you going, dude? You've already played the game. You already came back down. You were free, man. They follow the instructions again and keep their eyes shut as she enters the car with him. Of course, flickering lights aren't exactly scary when you can't see them. The doors close and the car rises to the red world. Great. Now one of you step out and step back in. Then the other one step out and step back in. Then you both go back down and you're done. But of course, it doesn't work. Our Lady of Crimson Dawn lets them descend to the 5th floor, then blows Chloe's head up as they reach the lobby. Ryan arrives back into the red world, kept as a sort of pet, I guess. The obvious solution to all of this is not to play stupid games in the first place, especially when there's no actual reward for playing, and you don't even know the rules. This is like trying to turn taxes into a game. The second obvious solution is to not look a gift demon in the mouth when you've already survived her game once. I'm looking at you, Ryan. The better, more fun solution is to actually try something like the assorted religion trick from The Mummy to see if any faith works on her. Maybe once you know the name of the girl who died, check out her background, see if she attended a church, and if so, which one. Bling yourself out with rosaries and Kabbalah strings and Buddhist prayer beads. Bring literally any weapon, and if need be, explore the red world, looking for things that make her vulnerable. We don't know if any of these things will work, because the one-dimensional characters never even think to try them. Here's the biggest problem with this story like this. The rules of the world are inconsistent throughout the entirety of this shallow tale. That doesn't really make it clever, it makes it lazy, and I refuse to award an unbeaten tag to a lazy movie. For that reason, Elevator Game was beaten. Take that, demon Moral of the story: play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Like getting slaughtered by a demon.